Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the SMA GT500 Championship. I'm your SMA host, Sean Madden, aka Flawed Genius Gaming, presenting to you week 6 in this special event at the midway point of the season. It was Levitius who won last week at Fuji to record 3 race victories so far this season and make it back-to-back wins to extend his lead at the top of the championship. Round 5 was very close and intense, something we've come to expect in every race in the SMA. Certainly brought the drama and kept us on the edge of our seats, and we're hoping for more in just a few moments, as it's time to introduce our legendary Scotsman back in the building with that amazing voice of his. And fantastic commentary. I'm delighted to have him back alongside me. And it is, of course, our resident YouTuber and podcaster, Hugh Hatrick. Good evening to you, and how have you been?
Hello, Sean, and hello to all the viewers out there. I am very well, thank you, and very fired up for another round of this incredible championship, the GT500 Championship. It's been so close, and now this is the roulette round. This could be the most exciting race so far. So yes, I'm very excited, and I've had a fantastic few days. So yes, thoroughly looking forward to commentating on what will be, I'm sure, a great race tonight.
Yes, fingers crossed indeed, Hugh. So, just important to shout out our sponsors for this season, as without any of them, these races wouldn't be possible. So, SMA is sponsored by Simulator Cave, the haven for all your high-end sim goodies, your number one place for all your sim racing requirements. So please do click on the links in the description below, or check out the SMA Discord and go onto their website simulatorcave.com for all these deals. And also, please stay in the stream after the race, as we have the owner of Simulator Cave, where we'll get to interview Gert so he can explain in more detail all the services they provide for us sim racing fans. Also sponsored by TGSC Cape Town Golf Academy, the hotbed of nurturing talented golfing students to reach their full potential. And lastly, proudly associated with MSA Motorsport South Africa, partnered by the FIA, the only place for official leagues in South Africa. So I guess it's time to find out what's in store for round 6 tonight in our special event. Hugh, can you run us through the race details, please?
Certainly. Today is round 6 of our 12-week season in the SMA GT500 Championship. We're at the halfway mark, and we're back in Japan, the urban metropolis of the streets of Tokyo, for this very special event. And the track is the Tokyo Expressway East, counterclockwise. Yep, so it's going the other way as what we would normally run it, so it's even more challenging. The distance is 7.192 kilometers. There are 12 corners, and of course we are located in Japan. It's a classic track. It's been around a long time. There's some fantastic hairpins. There's room for good overtaking, some incredibly long straights, and in these GT2 cars, it is going to be very exciting indeed. We have a 10-minute qualifying session, and the race, which is going to be 33 laps. The fuel is times 3, and the tyre wear is times 4. You have to use the hard tyre, but then you can use the other tyres as well. But the hard is mandatory, and it's a grid start with a false start check. So you have to make sure that you don't go early. But for this round, it's going to be, it's the roulette round. What will happen? Will this be a car that is going to set straight many of the drivers? Will it kind of really mix things up? Or will Levitius and the top 3 drivers from last week in turn be able to show their skills and supreme ability? Or will there be a surprise? I'm thoroughly looking forward to this. It's going to be great fun. Sean, back to you.
Thank you, Hugh. And yes, on to the story of round 5 at Fuji last week. Oh, wrong one there. The story of round 5 at Fuji saw Levitius record another emphatic victory to claim back-to-back wins and his 3rd win of the season, ahead of TNR teammate Deacon, who came across the checkered line in 2nd, but then handed a one-place grid penalty after the race. He is now classified as 3rd, however, his record still remains intact for finishing on a podium for every race of this season, as 2nd position is now handed to VSR Richard, keeping up his consistent performances thus far. In 4th, it was VSR teammate Wolfie celebrating his best result of the season, hoping for more of the same today. In 5th was TNR Chaz, aka Papaya Racer, and marking his return back to Tier 1 was VSR Vars Vartavis with an excellent 6th position, showcasing his demotion was a mere freak of a result a couple of rounds ago. And keeping up his fine performances since his inclusion to Tier 1 is TNR Captain Slow, who battled his way to 7th position ahead of Puma Racing Neil, who finished in 8th, ahead of his teammate Mac, who claimed 9th position, with VSR Galara securing a top 10 finish. Then after, it was deemed that VSR JDJ was on the wrong end of some penalty disputes. He was handed a 3-place grid penalty, promoting Puma the Joker into 11th and given another opportunity to race in Tier 1 this evening, with JDJ, Kennels and TNR Whipperman left in the drop zone to race in Tier 2 tonight. In steps in drivers of Joubert, aka TNR Latari, D-Man and MGR Fricky, who makes his debut for Tier 1. However, may well be too little too late, as the tier lockdown will be decided after this race. Instead of the promotion and relegation of the previous rounds, instead it's the top 14 in the standings that will determine which tier you're competing for the remainder of the season, as we'll get into now. So, top 14 after 5 rounds, with the dropped rounds included, sees Levitius extend his lead at the top to 14 points over fellow rival and teammate Deacon, who holds 2nd position. Up 1 position to 3rd now sees VSR Richard ahead of Papaya Racer, who sinks down to 4th, tied with VSR JDJ on 1,556 points. Then in 6th position we have VSR Wolfie ahead of teammates Galara in 7th and Fast Vartafis in 8th. Then it's Puma drivers of Neil and Mac in 9th and 10th, with Whipperman and Kennels in 11th and 12th, who are racing in Tier 2 today. They will need podiums at least to definitely secure their Tier 1 status, hoping the likes of Joubert in 13th and Captain Slow in 14th and D-Man have off days, with the latter currently just 1 place outside of the top 14 and also 21 points off of Captain Slow, who holds that last Tier 1 position currently. Best of luck to all of the drivers today, and over to you, Hugh.
Yeah, this is going to be a great night. We can sense the tension because it's a different car. Yes, it's a Group 2, but they're all in the Audi. This is going to be, it's going to be very, very close because the drivers are very competitive. And as we go into qualifying very, very soon, we're really going to see who is going to get on top, because it could be absolutely crucial to get a start at the front of the grid. You don't want to be stuck at the back, especially if your championship is depending on a good result. But these drivers have shown us their skill, their incredible consistency to get great lap times. So yeah, qualifying is going to be really exciting, I'm sure. And these cars, it's another Group 2 car, so it's very similar to what they've had before, just a bit more modern versions. But this Audi is quite a machine, very, very fast, good in the corners, and there's no excuses. Tonight they've got to perform to see who is going to remain in the top tier, and also to get a good grip on the championship as we're at the halfway stage. But very excited and really can't wait for things to get started tonight, Sean.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, so The Audi brings a little bit of a change to the mix, though. They do have the option of a DRS button, so not completely knowing exactly how much extra power it does give to the drivers, but with these long straights down Tokyo East counterclockwise, it certainly will. It will definitely help the drivers for sure, but by how much, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, Hugh. But yeah, we have got a new driver in FBR Fricky. I thought it was MGR Fricky, but apparently it's FBR Fricky. Yeah, new driver into Tier 1. Just a little bit unfortunate for him that the promotion and relegation ended last round, and so now it is dependent on the top 14 standings. And I think, checking my notes, I think Fricky is quite a number of points behind Captain Slow that holds 14th position at the moment. I think he's roughly about 50 points behind, which will be deemed as unfortunate for him, because I don't think he can accumulate that extra points difference to remain in that Tier 1 position. But at least he'll get to experience the elite drivers and the sheer competition that's in Tier 1. And certainly by looking at previous results, you know, he started off in Tier 3, so another driver that came from a couple of divisions down, and certainly used the inspiration of the likes of Captain Slow that we're on board now, who also originally competed in Tier 3 at the start. So it's really good to see that he's in the top tier, and we'll see how he gets on tonight, Hugh.
Yeah, no, many congratulations to FBR Fricky for getting into Tier 1 for tonight. And who knows, because it is a great start. If there's any problems at the first turn, you never know how many places he could make up there. And also on the qualifying session as well, it'll be interesting to see how he compares with all of our drivers here in Tier 1, the top end of what South Africa has to offer in sim racing. And it has certainly been a pleasure to watch the drivers and the races that we've had so far. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. And at the moment, it is dry weather. At the moment, it's sunny. But Sean, do you think there's a possibility that things might change? The weather could be like a Scottish Borders Day?
It could well be a little bit similar to Scotland, which I pray for the drivers, to be honest. but yeah, I have heard from the weatherman that it could start off quite wet, certainly during qualifying and I think in the race. And then, yeah, it's... well, it could be a good old mixed bag, I think, Hugh. You know, it could be as unpredictable as the weather in Scotland, I think. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see, and of course that will throw the strategies out the window as well, because I would imagine it will be very difficult for the drivers to really prepare ahead of this race, because of not knowing whether or not it is going to stay dry or it is going to be soaking wet conditions. I've got to say big shout out to everyone that's in the stream at the moment. A huge welcome to Schaefer, to Strauss, to is it Gerber, and Bernard, it might be Barnard, Johan Barnard, that is. And yeah, just looking at some of your comments, it's saying, let's go JDJ. So he claimed the race victory in Tier 2 tonight, so that is great to hear. Of course, I think he has already secured his Tier 1 position come next round. Of course, for those that don't know, it will be a tier lockdown from the next race, so whatever tier you end up positioned in, you'll be there for the remainder part of the season. I do believe that the top 3 drivers will be competing for honours and for prizes as well. I'm not 100% sure what the prizes are, but I'm sure Robin and SMA have got something up their sleeve, that is for sure. But yeah, we are just awaiting the qualifying session. It's going to be a 10-minute qualifying session ahead of a 33-lap race here at Tokyo East counterclockwise. So the drivers are just doing their final checks before getting ready for qualifying. I've also got to say as well, guys, do hang around after the race, because not only will we'll be interviewing the podium runners, but we're also going to have a special guest with us, the owner of Simulator Cave. We're going to get to chat to him and find out more about his sim racing company, including maybe some deals on, you know, race wheels and cockpits, and yeah, very, very exciting things in store for us. And if you've got any questions as well, please do direct them in chat, and we can actually ask Gert on some of these questions. So yeah, exciting stuff, Hugh, and I love talking about sim racing equipment. I'm actually on the lookout as we speak. It's just a shame I don't live in South Africa.
Yeah, it sounds like an incredible shop, actually, the Sim Racing Cave. Looking forward to meeting the boss and to get the interview done later on, because to see exactly what they do and what they can supply all their customers with. And I have just seen the screen. Look at the weather, Sean. It is raining heavily, and that is going to be very, very challenging, especially on these tarmac city tracks. You know, there's not much grip, and the rain is going to wash away all the grip that was there before. It's going to be very exciting and lovely little added challenge to tonight's roulette with the Audi Group 2. But no, it's going to be great fun, and in a few minutes time we'll be getting started.
Indeed. Well, I was about to say, what are you talking about? But now now I see it. And yeah, it is very, very wet conditions out there for the drivers. So at present, it looks like it's intermediate weather for all the drivers, and obviously a good indicator is in the bottom left-hand corner. So we are sort of touching the sort of wet zone, but at the moment, I think the intermediates are just about meta. Oh. What's happened there? Okay, maybe we had a reset of the lobby there, so maybe praying that it was a... oh, was that practice earlier? I thought that was qualifying.
Nope, that was practice. We are now starting the qualifying session.
Ah, okay, thank you, Hugh.
They're leaving the pits now in the tunnel. And yes, and so we'll just see them as they come out of the tunnel. Oh, look at the spray as soon as they come under the bridge. My goodness, there's a lot of spray coming from the cars there. This is going to be very challenging because it's these huge hairpins, you know, getting the braking marks right. Oh, we've already, Galara Brown's already gone very, very wide, along with Wolfie as well. And that's just the first corner. This is going to be a lot of fun. And my goodness me, I think I'd rather be watching from the tram than being outside and those spectators are watching the cars. But what a night it's going to be tonight as we see these drivers heading round Tokyo Expressway counterclockwise. It's a great track, lots of tough corners, and we're going to have to get the lines right as well. They've got very unforgiving walls. If you touch them, it could cause real problems and a lot of damage. What do you think, Sean? What do you think is going to be the major threat here today? Oh, hello.
Oh, definitely. Sorry, I'm muting my mic there. How unprofessional me. Yes, so definitely the weather will be a big issue in this race. You know, if it's really wet conditions, then it's going to be very difficult for the drivers. And I think the transition from wet to dry conditions can definitely be an issue, because obviously it's very important to stick to them dry lines. If you do happen to go over the wet lines with walls either side, then yeah, damage will come into play, because damage is on heavy today as well, and probably will be landed with some sort of wall penalty as well. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers get on. Of course, the previous 5 races, Hugh, was all down to manufacturers. Well, they're all in the same manufacturer today. They're all in the Audi DTM Group 2 cars. So things are going to be even in this race, and now it's all down to driver skill, maybe a little bit of luck along the way as well, in what is quite a long lap here at Tokyo, Hugh.
Yeah, it's a very long lap, and they're coming round the hairpin now, the first drivers that came out to complete their first lap. They'll be going back into the tunnel, which is always exciting because it gets dark now. And in fact, it's so grey above in the skies, and then they're going to be going into the tunnel to finish the lap. But it's a fantastic track here, and we've got some great liveries too, which is great to see. And yeah, it's just, we'll have to see what kind of times they're going to do, so we can see how it is happening at the moment. They haven't quite finished a lap yet, and we've still got one or two drivers. I'm not sure if they're in the pits there or have they come out. Or is everybody out on it? Well, everybody is now out. The last driver just came out of the pits there. But it's they're just going to have to learn lap by lap. But when they've only got a 10-minute session, they've got to make every lap count. So it's kind of do or dare stuff, really, isn't it? How fast can you go? What kind of risk can you take? When you feel the car start to understeer and heading for that wall, you're thinking, oh, is it going to catch? Will there be enough downforce on these cars to be relatively straightforward to drive? Or are they going to be very challenging? We'll have to see how they get on. I have to say, we've not really had many big spins or people dropping out. So tonight, I'm expecting exactly the same. There will all be lots of good finishes, and I'm sure some great overtakes. And with that DRS as well, you just never know what might happen. Oh, we've got some drivers coming back into the pits for new tyres as well. So we'll see that's Gallara in for a new set of tyres. That's a lovely livery there for Gallara, and off he goes on a fresh set of soft tyres. So they're using the soft, even though there are areas which are quite wet, but they're seeing the soft tyre as the one to go to. Both that's Deacon in as well for soft tyres. So let's see as the times get completed. They've not got that long, and I'm following. We are on Gallara's car here on my screen, and he's got 0 brake balance, so he is keeping a very neutral car as they're going round. It's interesting, will they start playing about with that a little bit? Do you need a bit more brake balance to the rear to maybe help the car turn in? It's going to be interesting, and what kind of strategy as well. 33 laps, the weather, it's all going to count. What do you think will happen tonight then, Sean?
Well, it's too difficult to predict, unfortunately, I think, Hugh. Yeah, that is the $1 million question, unfortunately. But so far, so good for Deacon, though. He is currently on pole position. But things are definitely going to change. The race dynamic, or even the qualifying dynamic, is going to change here because of course the conditions are drying out here, so a lot of the drivers have opted to go onto the soft tyres, so they should be quite a number of seconds quicker, but very important, as I look on board with Deacon, not to be stuck in traffic though. Yeah, Deacon of course on the outlap at the moment. I think Papaya Racer is on outlap too. So
he's had a wee bit of a bump there.
Both outlaps at the moment though, Hugh, so it doesn't look like any. Oh, actually no, my apologies. So Puma the Joker, as you mentioned, then has got that damage, but he's on them intermediate tyres, currently in P3, but he's going to dive into the pits now. So VSR Richard is on his outlap as well, so we're just trying to find a driver that is on their flying lap then. So one of them drivers is Levitius, who currently has P2, as we got Puma Racing Neil up into P7. I think he was on the intermediates though, so that time should be overtaken in the next couple of minutes or so, but does manage a 1 minute 49.5 as the lights go down, and it turns into night already. So again, another obstacle for the drivers, where visibility is not going to be quite as good as it was a couple of minutes ago. But yeah, certainly it looks like Joubert has got front aero damage, so I'm very surprised he's not dived into the pits there. He's decided to stay out then. He does move up into P4. In fact, he does go into the pits, so hoping that he can get one more flying lap out. As we look on board, I think it's Levitius who is the nearest. I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Yeah, the map very confusing on this layout, so quite difficult to see which drivers are closest to the checkered line. I think it might be D-Man here, so currently P9. He is on the racing soft tyres, so he should be able to go quicker here, and as he comes across the line, He sets pole position at the moment, 1 minute 46.8. Do feel like the likes of Deacon, the likes of Levitius should be able to go quicker here as Levitius approaches the start-finish line now to move into pole position by 0.6 of a second over Galara Bryn, who currently holds a second position with a 1 minute 46.1. It was 1 minute 45.5 for Levitius, with Papaya Racer starting a new lap. So should be just about enough time to set a lap, as D-Man looks like he's going to sit in the pits currently in P4. We've got Deacon on a flying lap as well, with Puma the Joker currently in P6, but this is so far a good position for him. We'll see if he can really eke out that speed in his Audi there, as it looked like someone went a little bit sideways, but Mac has just gone quicker with a 146 1 minute 46.4 to move himself up into P4, with TNR Captain Slow now up into a podium position with a 1 minute 46.2. So at the moment it's quite a mixed grid at this point, but we've got about a minute left of qualifying, Hugh.
Yep, it's Levitius has done a very good time there, 6/10 ahead of his rivals, with Galara Brown in second, and then Captain Slow just a fraction behind. So it's looking very, very close. It's great to see Captain Slow up there, and then Puma Racing Mac not far away as well. It's a pretty close and very tight field tonight.
Hugh, I just have to mention though, Deacon, as he crossed the line for sector 2, 4/10 purple, so coming into the tunnel now. He's looking nailed on for that pole position. And he comes across the line with a 1 minute 45.1, moves himself onto pole position. Has Levitius got an answer to that though, as he comes across the line to set a 1 minute 44.698 to move himself 4.5 tenths up into pole position. But Papaya Racer is now the new leader in qualifying, 2.5 tenths up on Levitius. What a phenomenal phenomenal lap from Papaya Racer, Q.
That was incredible. We all thought Levitius had it in the bag, but then Papaya Racer came out of nowhere and got that pole position. So far, there's only a few seconds left to go. Are they going to try and do any more? And we'll have to have a look at that. But I think the qualifying is almost up. But at the moment, it's just covered by the top three are covered by just 0.7 of a second. But wow, this is turning out to be very exciting, and I think we're going to see a lot of upsets in the race. It's so close, and people are just trying to get more and more laps in. I think as it gets going, we're going to see some great overtakes. I think there'll be some real surprises tonight. And
Puma Racing Mac at the death manages to come across the line with a P5, so 1.2 seconds down on Papaya Racer as we quickly look at the qualifying results. But yeah, full of surprises in qualifying, which is always good to see. So let's have a look at qualifying then. So Papaya Racer on pole position then with a 1 minute 44.441, 2.5 tenths in front of his teammate Levitius, who holds P2, with Deacon securing P3. So it's a team TNR 1, 2 and 3 in qualifying, with Puma the Joker grabbing P4. Wow, this is full of surprises here, Hugh. The Joker, who unfortunately it could well be his last race in Tier 1, grabbing an excellent P4 ahead of his teammate Mac, who gets a P5, just a tenth down on him. Then VSR Galara in P6, with TNR Captain Slow in P7. D-Man grabs an excellent P8 as well. And then we got Joubert in P9 ahead of VSR Richard in P10. Now that is a surprise. And then we got Puma Racing Neil in P11. FBR Fricky making his debut today in P12. P13 went to VSR Vars Vartavis. And then VSR Wolfie at the back of the grid. So actually two drivers that didn't set a lap time, Hugh. So big surprises there, but we have got a long race ahead of us though. So anything can happen in this race, and usually it does as well. So we will definitely find out in the coming sort of 50 minutes or so, Hugh. But yeah, big surprise for you.
Absolutely, and with a grid start, it could all be shaken up as they head out onto the straight. And though that turn one is going to be very exciting, with 14 drivers all wanting to try and make up places, and of course with the slipstream as well, it's going to be really, really challenging. But I'm sure we are in for a fantastic race. And again, very close qualifying. Again, people are just trying to get experience, aren't they, for lap after lap to try and see what the grip is like. And I'm quite sure we'll see the times really close up as the race gets underway, and we see them all start to compete for round 6 of this incredible roulette round here in Japan at the Tokyo Expressway east counterclockwise. We are just waiting for the host to start the race, and then we will be underway. But yes, the heartbeats will be starting to get quicker and quicker, and the sweat will be going on the brows of the drivers as they get ready for the start of what will be, I'm sure, a fantastic race.
Yes, indeed, Hugh. And just a big welcome to everyone that's in chat as well. So we've got Keegan in here, we've got Small in here, we've got and apologies for my pronunciations, I know it's terrible as the race does start, but welcome in everyone. Hopefully you enjoy this race, and let's get everything on board now. So front row then is going to be Papaya Racer and Levitius, second row Deacon and Puma the Joker, third row is Mac and Galara Bryn as we await the lights to go out. It is 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go. And it's a good start for most of the drivers, but Papaya Racer will sweep in front of Levitius. He may well be a sitting duck at this stage though, as Levitius pulls out of that slipstream, and we can see the very wet conditions as well. The drivers are going to have to be very, very careful, but it's Levitius ahead of Papaya Racer to Deacon to Puma the Joker. And the Joker got a good line and a good exit out of the turn. Remains in P4, but Galara Bryn up into P5. Captain Slow in P6. Mac in P7. And looks like we've got a straight drag race as we go up the hill to the right-hander now. D-Man down into P9. Wolfie up into P10, so moving up. Oh, he goes slightly wide there as VSR Richard takes that 10th position away from him. But Wolfie up 3 positions, I do believe, with Neil Varsvartovis and Fricky, who looks like he's lost about 4 positions. So we go back to the top of the grid then, and Levitius is ahead of his teammate Papaya Racer and Deacon, who is starting to pull away at present. It looks like all the drivers have decided to pick the intermediate tyres, and it does remain to be seen when they do change onto the slick tyres, as Galara tries to fend off the likes of Captain Slow, who is very close to his back bumper. As Captain Slow goes a little bit wiggly as he approached the braking zone of the turn there, but manages to recompose himself and try to hound down Galara, who is just in front of him at the moment. But there's a big train of cars at the minute, as we got Joubert, we got Mac just behind as well, and we got 3 abreast then.
Incredible at the start. 1, 2, 3 side by side as they come out, or as they go through the tunnel to complete lap 1. And it's, my goodness me, it's Deacon who leads so far, with Papaya Racer and Puma the Joker's in second, and then Papaya Racer third, and Levitius down to fourth, but there's nothing in it. 3 abreast for second, third and fourth, and there's one guy at the front, Deacon, who is hanging on for everything he's got as they come into the hairpin. There's little touching here and there, but nothing too bad so far, and they come round the corner, but Levitius has been pushed down to fourth, and Deacon now leads, and he's got Papaya Racer right behind him. This is quite exciting. Quite an incredible movement here, Sean.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. That was a very, very difficult one to call there. But we had 3 abreast, and I do suspect that this is going to keep happening throughout this race here. But yeah, certainly Deacon was the one to benefit from that. Then he is now the new race leader ahead of his teammate Papaya Racer in P2, and then Puma the Joker is going to come under all types of pressure from Levitius, who I know would have been quite annoyed by losing out there. but yeah, this is going to happen in this type of race as we get on board with Levitius now. He's 3/10 down on Puma the Joker. We're talking maybe 2 car lengths away, and it's going to be very, very important. This 2 corners coming up now to get the best exit possible and get that overspeed down the straight. Oh, it's Puma the Joker loses control of the car, and let's have a look on board with Puma the Joker, see exactly what happened there. Yeah, that was a big moment from the Puma the Joker as he lost control of the car.
He's down to 6th place. He's got a bit of damage on the back.
Yeah, and just looking at the replay now, so yeah, it was pretty bad. Yeah, he is sinking like a stone, and into the pits he goes as well with that damage. So he may be taking a chance here and getting onto the slick tyres then. So maybe not all is lost for the Joker, but yeah, that was a big moment from him, Hugh. As we look back on the grid then, because it looks like quite a number of drivers have decided to stay out there on their intermediate tyres. So Deacon is currently got a 1.3 second lead over Levitius in P2, with Captain Slow up into P3 then, who is just in front of his teammate Tianar Latari then in P4, with VSR Richard up into P5 now. Puma Racing Mac in P6, and then we've got the trainer cars in D-Man, Puma Racing Neil and Fricky, the debutant in Tier 1 today, looking to grab a couple of positions here, it seems. But yeah, very, very close to the back of Neil at the moment. Let's try and get on board with him now. It looks like he is the last of the intermediate runners, who will have Papaya Racer coming very frantically, I do believe, because he is the first of the soft runners then. But yeah, it looks like Neil is under quite a bit of pressure here as we come in to the double left-hander. And Fricky looking to get the best exit possible as he clatters the wall there. That is not going to help his cause, but I do believe that they will be coming into the pits very shortly. Let's just see if the others do come in. Yes, they do. So the top 2, the top 3, 4 and 5 come into the pits then. Looks like Mac's going to come in. D-Man's going to come in. Neil as well. So it is Papaya Racer who... Did he? Oh, he came... What? He came in?
Yeah, Fricky's now in first place.
Papaya Racer was already on the slicks though, so did he have damage there and I didn't realise?
Let's see, I'm quickly looking for Papaya Racer. Where are we? Yeah, Papaya Racer's in 14th. He doesn't appear to have damage. He's on the soft tyre.
Yeah, he doesn't now, Hugh. But what I meant is he had already.
He's had damage in the past.
Yeah, he already changed onto the slick tyres, so he was.
And he's gone wide again. Papaya Racer's gone wide and hit the wall at the hairpin. Just a wee touch. I think there's no damage done, but he's lost a lot of time there.
Okay, we're looking on the replay now, Hugh. So this is Papaya Racer then as he came up to the hairpin. Yeah, he went way too deep. He got way too deep in the braking zone, and that is a costly error. And yeah, I do wonder if he did pick up damage because he was on the slick tyres. So it looked like he was going to be challenging for the lead, and then he dived into the pit. So not 100% sure what happened there. But we have got FBR Fricky in the race lead. It is provisional race lead because he is coming under pressure from Deacon as he's on worn intermediate tyres. And well, there are dry patches to the circuit and there are puddles on the outside as well. But Deacon sweeps on by with Levitius in close proximity as well. It looks like he's going to move himself up into second position, and then Deacon is going to come under pressure now because Levitius is now side by side with Deacon. Looks like he's got the overspeed over Deacon, but they are definitely going to be side by side as we approach the sharp braking zone onto the hairpin. Deacon, I think, has got the no, in fact Levitius has got the inside line, isn't it? So it is the right-hander that comes up now. So Levitius sweeps in front of Deacon then to claim the race lead after 4 laps, but yeah, it's only a slender lead at 0.4 of a second. So Captain Slow is in P3 and he slides and he gets on the wet stuff, which you don't want to do there. And in fact, I might even come off the replay there because I think it's going to come under serious pressure now from VSR Richard. Yes, he does, but he does hold on to that 3rd position for the time being, with Wolfie very close to the back of Richard as well. But that was a big mistake from Captain Slow. And now, well, he's got it all to do here. He's still in a good position, but he was rather comfortable before that mistake. And now he could lose out on quite a number of positions here, Hugh.
Yes, it's very close from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. And I was looking at that amount of cars there. There's about 5 or 6 cars in very close proximity. And when almost that one was touching the wall there as they come through. It's still so dodgy with the wet patches, but there is a dry line emerging, as we can see there, and the lights are on as they're trying to see as far ahead as they can. But Captain Slow is managing just to edge away a little bit again. He's got just under a second from VSR Richard, who has been very quick, as we know, already in this championship. But 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, there you see it. It's very close, and it just shows you one little mistake and you're in big trouble. And he is already 11.5 seconds behind Deacon and Levitius in the top 2 positions. But still a very good performance from Captain Slow so far to get 3rd position. Now we're just looking at just under 0.8 of a second to the pack there. It's very intense. There's got Richard in 4th, Wolfie in 5th, and they're all looking at the slipstream, and Vars Vartabus in 6th place there. And we've seen now, I think it's Zuber in 7th. They're all coming into the hairpin as close as they can. A little bit of touching here, but I think we're okay. And they lead out onto the straight, and it's very close. But between Captain Slow in 3rd, right the way down to Zuber in 8th, there's really nothing in it at all. In fact, we're even going right the way down the field as well. It's from 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th and 13th are pretty much all in the same fight. It's a great train of cars, but with the DRS, of course, it kind of equalises everything out. And I've noticed how many times you see the DRS go red. That's when they're using it, and they're trying to get every advantage they can to stay in the slipstream and potentially get a move forward. But there's absolutely nothing in it, Sean, at the moment.
Yes, indeed, and there is a big battle for the race lead as well. It looks like both TNR drivers have pulled away from the big pack behind, but yeah, currently 0.4 of a second separating the pair of them right now, so they're looking rather good. They could probably relax a little bit at this stage and maybe fight it out in the latter stages of this race, but although they are going side by side now, so Levitius now looks like he's pulled in front of Deacon for the time being. Deacon's going to have that slipstream again though, and you'll probably what you'll find here is a bit of a yo-yo effect here. Of course, no bump drafting is allowed. That is part of the race rules in SMA, so they can't touch each other at all. So if they do want to work as a team, they have to kind of use each other's slipstream. But Captain Slow just in front of this pack now as Wolfie tries to hold off his teammate VSR Richard, and then his other teammates in Vars as well in P6. Then there is a bit of a gap to Puma the Joker in P7, and then even more of a gap to Mac in P8, and then there's a train of about 4 cars in this little battle for the fight for P8. So we got Racing Neil in 9th, Galara in 10th, and D-Man in 11th. And has Juba made a mistake, or is he's just coming to the pits, isn't he? So Juba was a bit higher up. He's at the back of the grid. So I do believe he has made a change there onto new racing medium tyres then. So yeah, it's looking something I haven't been aware of actually. So we have got quite a difference in strategy right now. We've got quite a lot of the drivers on the medium tyres, but we've got Puma's Neil on the racing soft tyres then, so he should be faster at this stage of the race, but it's going to be very difficult to call how the weather really plays out here, because we've got no radar here, so we've got as much information as you guys watching us. So it does look like Neil He's going to pull to the side now. But this is the dangerous thing, because on the outside it's still going to be wet. So he's got to be careful there. And it's certainly going to cool down his tyres as well. But it looks like Neil is going to have the overspeed anyway and get past Mac to move up into P8. And then, yeah, Gallara in pretty close proximity of them with damage. Gallara has got front aero damage then, and he's going to be losing time. Same as D-Man as well, so I do wonder whether or not there was a coming together between the two drivers there. As Gallara actually goes up the inside into P9. Let's have a look at that. What happened there? Did Mac lose control there?
And I certainly hadn't seen any touching in the frame that we just saw. But there was, I mean, in the earlier laps, there was a lot of kind of...
Oh, yeah, he went a little bit sideways, couldn't get the traction, and there was Gallara to take full advantage and go up the inside there. So, yeah, it's quite hard to keep an eye on what's going on here, as it looks like Captain Slow's come under all sorts of pressure. Wolfie already making the move on Captain Slow to move up into P3. Captain Slow's got Vars all over the back bumper of him like a swarm of wasps looking to sting him right now, as Vars, it looked like he just touched the wall there with VSR Richard in 6th position. But yeah, it looks like we've got a fight for there's two packs basically fighting it out at the moment, Hugh.
Yeah, and when you consider Wolfie started at the back of the grid, and now he's battling for a podium position here with Captain Slow, it is really nothing in it at all. He's back in behind Captain Slow to try and get a bit of slipstream. He's using that DRS as much as he can to try and get 3rd place. It's showing he's in 3rd place at the moment, but we're waiting to come into the hairpin, and they come into the sharp right-hander. When are they going to brake? And then they come down into the hairpin. Wolfie has still just managed to keep a hold of 3rd place with Captain Slow right behind, watching out for that wall as they turn around the left-hander, and then they go into the right-hander and then down the straight into the tunnel. Oh, sorry, that was the other way. They go down the right-hander first of all. But yeah, it is, look at that. It's so close between Wolfie and Captain Slow. And now we're into the S's. You've got to keep in line. You don't want to go off that line, otherwise you're going to be in the wall. But very, very close here. And we've got 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all within just really a second or two of each other. It's very, very close. And Wolfie is managing to stay ahead through the section here. To the right, that's a very tricky right-hander, very easy to go into the wall, but they've got the grip, and their tyres, their mediums are not showing that much sign of wear, but they've got just over 1/3 of a tank of fuel. So yeah, quite all the drivers are going to be having to look at that to see how long will their fuel last. Because look, I'm going on to Levitius there, and he is half a second ahead of Deacon, but his racing soft tyres are about halfway through, again with about 1/3 of a tank left. So it's going to be very interesting to see how are they going to play on a strategy. Are they going to go back onto the softs or the mediums, or what are they going to do next?
And Captain Slow up the inside of Wolfie. Then you could see clearly the how the slipstream effect really comes into play down the straight. So Captain Slow moves up into P3. Then Wolfie is going to tuck back into that slipstream and try to power past Captain Slow yet again as we approach the right-hand hairpin. Captain Slow is going to have that inside line. Wolfie's going to be shown the outside, although it looks like Captain Slow gets on the brakes earlier. So Wolfie reclaims that 3rd position ahead of Captain Slow, with Vars Vartavis settling down into P5. Puma the Joker up into P6 though, with Richard in P7. I do wonder, is that because of Joubert that made his pit stop? Because I have noticed they have moved up a position. So yeah, difficult to see at the moment. Papaya Racer is starting to trying to rescue his race really, because of course he had that disaster at the start, so he's moved up 3 positions from that initial mistake that he made, or the extra pit stop that he's made. So starting to climb up the field, as we do expect from Papaya Racer, with D-Man down into P12, Fricky in P13 and Joubert in P14, looking to try and climb up the field. But it is Levitius that is winning the race right now, 7/10 of a second ahead of his teammate Deacon. But more importantly, Deacon still in that slipstream, so he'll still be in the hunt for the race win. But yeah, certainly, Hugh, you are right. The race's soft tyres are looking a little bit worse for wear, with Deacon's tyres actually looking a little bit fresher at the moment. But we have got Captain Slow and Wolfie side by side once again as we enter the tunnel then, and it looks like at the moment Captain Slow has got that P3, but Wolfie will tuck back into that slipstream, and it's certainly that cat and mouse game really, as they try to use both of each other's slipstream, and it looks like Wolfie has timed that to perfection as he comes out of that slipstream. He's got that inside line over Captain Slow and he reclaims P3. But meanwhile, we have got Varsdo very close to the back of Captain Slow now, so he is certainly not out of the running at the minute, with Puma the Joker having a very steady race as well. He's not too far behind it. He's also in that slipstream, and Richard is in the slipstream to Joker, so certainly things can change on a sixpence in this race, and yeah, we definitely need to keep an eye on that one. But then there is a gap, a 5-second gap to Neil in P8, and then he's got his teammate Mac just behind him in that slipstream. I think Galara is just outside that slipstream, so he'll be hoping to have a good lap here to get back into that slipstream and try to gain the speed down the straight and come back into the fight for P8. But yeah, it looks like we've got two battles going on at the moment. Looks like Deacon has closed that gap now, and at the start of the straight now, looks like he will make the move on Levitis before we cross the line to start lap number 12. And Levitis into the pits then from the race lead. So 14% of fuel, and on pretty worn soft tyres. It looks like Wolfie and Captain Slow are they're just battling every single lap. It's great to see, I have to say, but yeah, certainly you can't call it between the two drivers at the minute, as Captain Slow now uses that slipstream and he is going to try and power past him down the straight. And of course, it's important to use that DRS as well. I'm sure that it'll give you an extra sort of couple of kilometers an hour down the straights, as Wolfie holds off Captain Slow then to hold on to second position. Captain Slow will settle back down into third, with Vars Vartafis just behind in P4. Puma the Joker up into fifth with Richard up into sixth, and then Levitius, who's already made his pit stop, rejoins in seventh position, Hugh. But yeah, it's definitely very close at this stage, and it's going to be interesting to see how the strategies pay out, and also if there's any further rain as well.
Yep, it's very close, and at the moment we've got Captain Slow in third place, but only by a fraction behind with Vartavis is right on his tail.
Oh, Levitis has just made a move on the Joker to move up into P6, sorry Hugh, and looks like he's going to be battling for that fifth position as well, as he's got that fresher soft tyres under his belt then, and he moves up into fifth position. I think VSR Richard just gave up the ghost there. Of course, he's on the more worn and worse tyres, the medium tyres, so yeah, it just made sense for him to make to let Levitius through there. So yeah, just trying to go through all the drivers at the moment, because trying to get a good picture on their strategies. Looks like Puma Racing Neil is going to be coming into the pits imminently, because he's got no fuel and very worn soft tyres, so he comes in. Looks like Deacon has just come into the pits as well and has been released on circuit into P6 as Puma the Joker moves past him down the straight, so he rejoins his sixth position with just over half a tank of fuel and on them fresh soft tyres, and yeah, Captain Slow is rejoined the circuit in ninth position then on them soft tyres. But D-Man in P8, but he's got front aero damage on the medium tyres, so I do wonder whether or not he'll be coming into the pits shortly, because I would imagine he's losing at least a couple of seconds a lap just from that damage alone. So we'll see what happens to him, but nothing much changed between the other drivers though. We got Joubert maybe moved up a couple of positions now with Fricky as well, and Papaya Racer in P12. Puma Racing Neil down into P13 though, but deciding to use the medium tyres with Galara Bryn at the back of the grid, but he has just made his pit stop as well. So Wolfie currently has the race lead at the moment, just in front of his teammate Vars, with Levitius now starting to climb the field up into P3. He's definitely in the fight here for the race lead. Then of course already making that pit stop with Wolfie and Vars, they probably will come in the next couple of laps. So it does look like Levitius is in prime position right now, with VSR Richard also needing to make a pit stop shortly as well. So yeah, Levitius looks like he's gained a few seconds on Deacon then, who is just making the pass on Puma the Joker to move up into P5, but Deacon has got half a tank of fuel, Levitius just under half a tank. So I do wonder, as he sweeps past Wolfie and around the outside of Vars. Vars is going to hold that inside line. It's not going to make it easy for him. Slight bit of contact though between Vars and Levitius as he's shown the outside there. I do think that Levitius did kind of turn into Vars though, so I think that might have been more on Levitius than Vars, but even so, it didn't affect Levitius too much there, and I'm pretty sure they haven't got race damage either, as Levitius does sweep around the outside to move past Vars Vartavis and into the race lead.
Yes, it's been very exciting here as we've got changes for the lead, but also the strategy, because I'm looking at the number of laps there and they've got less than half a tank to go for Levitius, but they are just over half distance, so I think they'll have to come in again. I don't know if this tank will last them to the end of the race. So it's quite close. I think the strategies have been certainly different, but it's going to be very interesting to see if it's just going to be the top three continuing to pull away, or will the strategy have to change again and will they have to come in, and then we'll see it close up again. But it's all happening. We've got drivers coming from the back of the grid to the front and then going back down again. So there's lots of changes. But Levitius and also Deacon, who is in 5th place, they were of course our front runners, but Levitius has really managed to eke out a lead there. Just shows you that a few seconds on pit stops can make all the difference, because Vars Vartavis is just about 2.5 tenths. So he's reducing that time all the times they come through under the tunnel to complete the lap, and Vars Vartavis wants that first place, and he is at the moment, he is showing in first, but for how long? Because Levitius has gone back into his slipstream and he's turned, now he comes out, they're neck and neck all the way through, coming into the hairpin, and Levitius is on the outside and sweeps round, and they beautifully go through the double right-hander and then down on to the left-hander, and now it looks like Levitius has got about half a second on him. So they're on, let's see, he's on the soft, Levitius is on the soft, and Vars Vartavis is on the medium. So Levitius should be able to pull away, and he's got about just under a third of a tank of fuel. But the strategies are definitely playing out here. But overall, there's not a huge amount in the timings, and I think we're going to be seeing more pit stops to come in the next few laps, because the fuel is going down quite quickly at times 3, and that is affecting the race quite a bit. But at the moment, now there is Deacon, who is in 4th place, and he is closing. He's just over a second behind VSR Richard. So will he start, will he be able to get that podium place and then head on after Vars Vartavis? There's not much in it at the moment, but it's settled down a little bit, I can say, Sean.
Yes, indeed, and certainly I don't think that fighting would have helped Levitius there with Vars Vartavis there. He is on them soft tyres there. They are starting to grain quite a bit though. Vars Vartavis he's definitely going to pit at the end of this lap, because the emergency fuel light is on, and not the best medium tyres, so he'll fuel to the end of the race. It'll be interesting to see what tyres he picks. I suspect it might be mediums though, as his teammate comes in from P4 as well on the medium tyres with a little bit more fuel there. So definitely some strategy going on there as Captain Slow now heads this train of 3 cars currently in P5. So Levitius in the race lead, 3.3 seconds ahead of Deacon, with Vars Vartavis and Richard, I think, will get overtaken, will they? Oh no, Vars Vartavis just out of the pits now, so he rejoins in P5 and make it P6 now, as Joubert even has the overspeed down the straight, so down into P6 then, with Richard and Fricky side by side, as Richard enters the fray and rejoins now in 8th position. So it's all change in the grid right now, but yeah, you're certainly right though, Hugh. I do feel like Levitius will need to make a pit stop quite shortly, so that is going to change things for sure, with Deacon in P2 as well. He will need to make that pit stop. His teammate Papaya Racer will need to make that pit stop. I think Captain Slow will as well. So just trying to think, maybe Vars Vartavis in a good position here in P6. We're going to have to wait and see, but he's 29 seconds behind the race leader Levitius, with his teammate with a little bit more fuel and with the fresher tyres as well. So yeah, Fricky is definitely going to have to pit, and then Wolfie should leapfrog him into P8 because he's made his pit stop. Joker, I think, is going to be touch and go here. I'm not 100% sure. And then we've got Mac has made his pit stop, so I think everyone else has made their pit stop, so it's still going to be touch and go whether or not they can make it or not, but certainly the top 2 do need to pit, but not 100% sure on the actual pit lane loss here. So it's as I mentioned earlier, so the first of the drivers that have made their pit stops is Virsar Richard, who has just got past Vartavis, who's got damage. So what happened there? He's made a mistake somewhere.
I think when he was coming out of the pit, something's happened there. I noticed it damaged just a few seconds there before you announced it. So yeah, certainly it's happened, but he's got a full tank of fuel. So he must have gone in much longer, but now he's struggling, and he's going to take a little bit of adjustment, and he's right behind Wolfie in 7th place there, and he's trying to go through, but Wolfie just covers it, and as they go round the corner there, round the left-hander, there's nothing in it at all, just a 10th and a half. But I think Barswater's strategy is good. He's put more fuel in, so this time could really come down, because although Levitius and Deacon are out in front, they're going to have to make another pit stop, and I just wonder how much fuel as well they're going to have to put in to finish the race. But it's certainly all happening here. I'm just checking to see at the front, Levitius is now 3 seconds ahead of Deacon, but as you say, his fuel light is now on, and he'll be having to come in the next lap or 2, otherwise there's going to be problems. So I think it's difficult to say how long a pit stop, if it's over 20 seconds or not. It might even be more than that, but I think this is really going to shake things up, and as you say, VSR Richard could be in the prime position to really pick up a lot of positions.
Indeed, yeah. I'm just cycling through the field to see if there's any battles on show. It looks like at the moment we've got Joubert and Captain Slow closely fighting it out for P4 at the moment. That time is going to dwindle down as Captain Slow firmly in that slipstream now. He should be able to power his way past Joubert and secure that 4th position then, but obviously looking at the fuel at the moment, it's looking rather like they're going to be pitting very, very shortly, so a bit of a false position from them drivers. But yeah, I was looking on board actually with VSR Richards, so he's got a 33-second gap to Levitius, so that gap has extended then by about 4 seconds from when we last viewed it, as we still got a side-by-side battle between Captain Slow and Joubert for P4, but Captain Slow will hold on to that position for the time being. But yeah, I don't know, I think Levitius will I think he will come out in front of VSR Richard. I'm pretty sure, depending on how much fuel Levitius needs to put in actually, it's going to be touch and go, but I do believe it's around the region of about 25 seconds, but could be wrong here. Could be wrong. Might be nearer 30 seconds, so we'll have to wait and see here. But he's developed a 2-second lead over his teammate Deacon, and they're definitely going to come in to the pits now. So we're going to see now, actually. So Levitius in, Deacon is not in. Deacon stays out then. Papaya Racer is just about on the straight now. But he is 26 seconds down on Levitius. So we'll see how much of the gap comes down between these two then. Although Papaya Race is going to come in, so we can't find out. so Papaya Race is going to come in, so it's going to be Captain Slow. Is he going to stay out? No, he dives into the pits with Gilbert just behind him as well in P5. So VSR Richard then is going to sail up 3 positions. There's Levitius already come out on to this circuit. So yeah, it does look like then the pit lane loss is roughly about 25 seconds. So he has a 9.5 second lead over VSR Richard, and there's a 20 second lead for Deacon. So Deacon, I suspect, will come out in front of VSR Richard to grab that P2. And yeah, obviously everything that's going on at the moment, guys, we're trying to decide on the fly, and obviously it was very difficult to call on strategies today because we just didn't know how the weather was going to pan out. So with the random race conditions, I do suspect it will rain in the last few laps of the race, so things could be turned on the knife edge in the last sort of 3 laps or so. But yeah, at the moment it is how it is. The top 2 will get swapped around here, I do believe, as Deacon will now dive into the pits from the race lead. But it's 18 seconds is the gap. So Levitius, I think, will have a comfortable lead at the top of the grid here then, as he goes down the hill into the tunnel now. And he's going to come across the line now. And yeah, for sure, we definitely know he's going to be in the lead, but by how much is Deacon's
Not
on the
too much.
Intermediates. So are they seeing something that we're not seeing? Is the heavens going to open up in the last few laps of the race then? Because Deacon, yeah, he's on the intermediate tyres on a dry circuit. Them tyres are going to be a lot slower than the slick tyres, but it really depends on how quickly the rain comes in and how much tyre degradation will be applied to the intermediate tyres as well. So I do wonder if the other drivers will follow suit then, as we got VSR Richard in P3 now. Is he going to... No, he's not. So VSR Rich, sorry, he's on the next lap here, as I got confused with the map there. So yeah, he's on the slick tyres, on the medium tyres, Wolfie on the medium tyres, Puma the Joker on worn soft tyres. He may come in at the end of this lap, and maybe he's in a very good position here, currently P5. Mac P6. So yeah, that very, very interesting strategy. Guys, if you know anything that we don't, let us know in the chat. But that was a very audacious move from Deacon. It could be it could be one of the moves of the season, or it could be absolute disaster for him. What do you think, Hugh?
Yeah, certainly at the moment he's not showing too much wear on his tyres compared to Levitius, who's got a little bit more wear on the racing soft. But you just wonder how long those tyres are going to last. It's a brave move because look, it's the sun is shining. It's very dry, but we've obviously got a few laps to go. We've got about 6 laps to go. Is the rain going to come literally in the last few laps? Because you kind of feel he could really burn through his tyres, and if Levitius has a decent lead, that could be very hard to regain. But either he knows something that we don't, or because at the moment there's nothing on the weather radar to indicate that there's any rain coming, or that there's any difference to the track. But as soon as we see it, we'll certainly let you know. And they've got plenty of fuel as well. But at the moment, Deacon's intermediate tyres are lasting, but he's 9.5 seconds behind Levitius in just a matter of 3 or 4 laps, and he's got Richard pulling up all the time. Look at that, you can now see him just over 2 seconds behind Deacon, and Richard is on the racing medium tyre, which again, well, it'll be good in the dry, and at the moment it's dry, so it's the tyre to be on. Well, it's a brave move from Deacon, but I wonder, he's losing time. He's losing time to Richard as we go round the S's here. He's going to have to be very, very careful because I think that this is going to be amazing. If it rains in the last couple of laps, we're going to see a great battle because it's, I suppose you want to be on the racing soft. It's one of the least bad tyre to be on if it's wet. But Vitius at the moment is pulling away by nearly 11 seconds. He could almost do a pit stop and come back out if it's a problem. But we've got 5 laps to go. We're on lap 21, and this could be very interesting. At the moment, we're waiting for the storm to come. But at the moment, it's dry, and we'll see how long Deacon can hang on to this second place, because Richard is now just 6/10 behind him. So he's surely going to be in a position to make a move very soon as they come into the tunnel. He's in the slipstream, and they come down the hill and to complete another lap. And Richard is in that slipstream all the way through. There he goes. There's next to nothing in it, just 3/10. The two Audis battling it out, and all that time, in the meantime, Vitius is still 11.5 seconds. Now Richard goes for P2 and gets it. A nice clean move straight past Deacon. Now they're coming into the hairpin, and VSR Richard takes the line there to the right, and he is pulling away from Deacon. So at the moment, it looks as if Deacon has made a very brave move, but what will happen? Is it going to rain? It looks still bright skies. There's only a few clouds there, and there's no sign of rain coming, as I can see in the near future, but we've still got about 4 laps to go, and we'll see how this works out. Over to you, Sean.
Thank you, Hugh. And yeah, well, I'm keeping an eye on 4th position as well, because yeah, Deacon is going to be on the slower tyre here. The gap is 4.2 seconds to VSR Wolfie in P4, who's got Puma the Joker just behind him as well. So there's definitely going to be a big fight going on, but just trying to compare the lap times at the moment. So the Vitius is hitting 1 minute 44. In fact, his last one was a 1 minute 44.0. VSR Richard was a 1 minute 44.2. Deacon was a 1 minute 46.3, so he's losing nearly 2.5 seconds to the drivers in front of him. And then Wolfie 1 minute 45.4 on the medium tyres. That clipping on the wall's not going to help his calls though, but the gap is 4.4 seconds to Deacon at the moment, so Deacon is losing roughly about a second to Wolfie, but Wolfie with what will be 4 laps remaining after this one. So he's definitely going to have to keep the pace up and hope that he can catch to the back of Deacon by the time we get to the end of the race. But Deacon, of course, has got the advantage of the slipstream to VSR Richard, and that could be his saving grace as we go into the braking zone. And actually, that was good timing on the brakes from Deacon as he closed that gap to VSR Richard by quite a few tenths there. But you can see the tyre degradation on them intermediate tyres now, where it's approaching like the halfway mark. So they are certainly starting to fall off a cliff with definitely a lot more tyre degradation than Richard's tyres on the medium tyres, which is well, of course, would be the optimal tyres in these conditions. So it's not looking likely that the rain is going to fall though, Hugh, because the skies are pretty clear, I have to say. So unless we have some sort of storm in brewing, maybe a hurricane or something like that, I think it's going to remain clear for the foreseeable future. But we have got VSR, not VSR, we got Puma the Joker just behind VSR Wolfie, so he's definitely not resting on his laurels as he approached Wolfie in the braking zone. But I think he's looking at the bigger picture, but he's got very, very worn soft tyres as he clatters the wall on the outside, and yeah, certainly is struggling on them soft tyres. And I do believe the Joker will come in at the end of this lap because he's got no fuel left, and maybe slightly mistimed his strategy there, because although he's in a good position, there's going to be quite a number of drivers. I think it's going to sail past him then as Mac comes across the line. He's going to move up into P5. Papaya Racer is going to move up into P6 then. We got Gallara just behind. In fact, we got side by side with Captain Slow and Papaya Racer. So Papaya Racer drew up alongside Captain Slow, decided to get back into the slipstream to try and send one down the inside, and there's Gallara as well, that sends it down the inside with a late braking move to get past Captain Slow, and it's a 2 for 1. Captain Slow loses out on 2 positions in one corner.
That is something, and look how the grey the weather is getting. But you can see now Gallara Brown is just in front of Captain Slow. It is all happening as we follow Gallara, and he's having to defend like crazy. And he's on the medium tyres, but he's got virtually no fuel left. He's going to have to really watch his fuel consumption, and that will surely slow him down. And Captain Slow is right behind him. Let's have a look. Captain Slow is the one racing softs, and you've got plenty of fuel left, so no problem for Captain Slow. But Gallara Brown is going to have to either go on the least, the most economical engine tuning, or be very careful here, because he's he's being pushed all the way by Captain Slow. There's just 7/10 in it as they come through the S's.
Yeah, and Levitius into the pits then from the race lead. Sorry, Hugh, as it looks like the heavens are going to open. So it shows what I know, because it was blue skies about 1 lap ago. But maybe that hurricane is coming in then. So VSR Richard also into the pits from P2. And there's Deacon now, although tyre wear wise not looking too good for him, but he is going to he's not going to grab the race lead, because Levitius is out on track now in the race lead, and it looks like with Levitius on the wet tyres as well, looks like this is going to be a good victory then for Levitius, with a 4-second lead over Deacon. And then we've got Richard, who is 9 seconds down on Deacon. Looks like Richard is going to inherit second position from Deacon, with Wolfie also on the wet tyres. It looks like they've all picked the wet tyres. So Puma Racing Mac rejoined in P5, with Papaya Racer coming out in P6 as well. And the heavens are starting to open as Papaya Racer sends one down the inside, and that's a very clean move down the inside, as Puma Racing Mac looks like he went slightly deep in the braking zone. Let's have a quick look on the onboard replay there, but it did look like it was a fantastic move from Papaya Racer, and he took full advantage there, as it looked like Captain Slow as well got a good run out of the exit too. So looking back on board with him, yeah, he's just at the back of Puma Racing Mac now, putting him under all types of pressure, but it's really coming down now, Hugh, as we are on the penultimate lap of the race. It looks like it's going to be one slippery affair for the drivers, as we've got Puma the Joker just behind in P8, with Joubert in close proximity of him, with Gallara also breathing down his neck in P10. So things are definitely going to get very tasty indeed as we come up to the penultimate corner of lap number 25. It looks like Joubert went a little bit wide though, and Gallara up the inside, so Joubert down into P10. But yeah, this is where things are definitely going to get spicy, as we've got Puma the Joker and Gallara Bryn side by side battling for P8. And then if we look at Joubert, he's not too far behind actually in P10. So as they battle for position, he is, well, I thought he was going to grab an advantage there, but Captain Slow is a sitting duck now, as 2 of them go on the outside and the inside to take 2 positions away from Captain Slow. But Captain Slow still in that slipstream of Gallara as he comes fighting back, and the Joker has no answer to it as Captain Slow gets on the brakes. Joubert way too deep into the corner, and he's going to lose out there. I think even Vars Vartovis will close that gap on him to around about 2 seconds. So luckily for Joubert, VSR Vars Vartovis not in the hunt for that position. I may need to have a quick look on Levitius, because he is near the end of the lap, but let's quickly look on board with the race behind then. So we've got Mac and Gallara and Captain Slow in roughly about a second of each other, and then we've got Puma the Joker just in front of Latari in P10. So things could happen in the closing stages of this race, but we do need to get back on board with Levitius because he is coming down the final straight now with a 7.5 second lead over teammate Deacon. So it's been a phenomenal race yet again for Levitius, who has absolutely timed his strategy to perfection, and he comes across the checkered line to win round 6 at Tokyo East counterclockwise, his 4th victory of the season and his 3rd back-to-back as well, as Deacon comes across the line to claim an excellent P2 and was managed to fight off VSR Richard to claim P2 and VSR Richard for P3. Then Wolfie grabs P4 and Papaya Racer grabs P5 with Galara and Puma Racing Mac for P6 and 7. Galara's going to finish just in front of Mac for 6-7, and Captain Slow P8 with Puma the Joker just finishing in front of Jewel Bear to finish in P9. P10 for Jewel Bear and Vast Vartavis for P11, and then we've got Puma Racing Neil in 12th position. Then looks like quite a lonely race in the end for him, but nevertheless he'll be in tier 1 for the next round, and of course in the lockdown as well he has secured his position for the rest of the season. D-Man claims P13 ahead of FBR Fricky, who will grab 14th, and in his solitary race in the top tier he'll be back into tier 2 for the remainder of the season. It's going to be very interesting to find out what the driver standings are. As we know, the top 14 drivers will be staying in tier 1 for the rest of the season. I think Captain Slow's done, he's definitely done good enough because he's grabbed P8 and finished in front of D-Man, who was in 15th position leading up to this race. So fantastic race, Hugh, as always. And what are your thoughts?
My goodness, it was incredible. I think the strategy was crucial. Poor old Deacon, he made that brave move to go on to the intermediates, and that allowed Levitius to get ahead and just to get enough time. And then, of course, he came in for that extra pit stop and still had the lead on the full wets. But as you say, the rain came down on the last 2 laps and washed the field away. Levitius really showing a great performance tonight, and a well-deserved victory. But Deacon has done really, really well to get that 2nd place, and Richard not far away as well. The strategy played out extremely well for the top 3. But Wolfie, congratulations go out to Wolfie in 4th place there as well, because he was at the back of the field, and to get up to 4th place, that is great for him and a well-deserved. That was a fantastic drive. And Papaya Racer as well, who had that dramatic incident at the start of the race, he managed to get back up to 5th place. So it's been a great race so far. A wonderful race tonight. Again, the drivers are showing their incredible skill and consistency, and it's all credit to them.
Yes, indeed, Hugh. Indeed. It was very difficult to call what was happening and what type of strategies were playing out. But obviously I doubted Levitius at one point, but he was the man to come across the line first and grab his 4th race victory of the season. Triple back-to-back wins now for Levitius, who finished in front of his TNR teammate Deacon, who finished in a 2nd position. Also still has that 100% record on finishing on podium so far this season. Then we got VSR Richard, who claimed an excellent P3 ahead of his teammate VSR Wolfie in P4. Then Papaya Racer comes home in 5th position ahead of VSR Galara in 6th position. 7th position was Puma Racing Mac, which I do believe is his joint best finish of the season, with TNR's Captain Slow securing a top 8 position. 9th position went to Puma the Joker, who I do believe will be down into tier 2 for the remainder of the season, but took his bow in tier 1 with aplomb, finishing in 9th position. Top 10 position for Tiernars Latari or Joubert, who I think is in Tier 1 next season. I do need to check the stats there. But VSR Vartavis finishing in P11 ahead of Puma Racing Neil in 12th position. Unfortunately for D-Man, P13 for him, and he'll be in Tier 2 for the next 6 races of the season, with a 14th position for debutant FBR Fricky, who will be down in Tier 2 for the remainder part of the season. But if the top 3 drivers in Levitius, Deacon and VSR Richard, I don't know if they're in the Discord right now, but if you can join us in the waiting room, we'll get to interview VSR Richard first. And it is the second week in a row that we get to speak to him first. So let's head over to the waiting room, Hugh, and we'll talk to Richard. Okay. Richard, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Richard, congratulations on 3rd position. Third position in a row, actually. How do you feel after that race?
No, after my qualifying time that I messed it up completely, going over the weight line, starting in 10th position, I'm very happy with podium, 3rd place. So yeah, I can't complain, very happy. I had to adapt my strat, so do a long stint, save fuel on mediums, and try to jump some of the guys in the pits. Hope for some mistakes in front, but yeah, it played out.
Yeah, no, great comeback from yourself. It was very difficult to call how the weather was going to fare because, of course, in commentary, we don't have the radar that you have. I was for sure thinking it was going to remain dry for the whole race. But then within a lap, the dark clouds come over. It was an absolute downpour. But I just need to ask you, Richard, because obviously the conditions were random. Was it sort of similar in practice to how it panned out today, or was it completely different?
Yeah, so we had actually different practice lobbies because of the random setting block on the lobby. So I was actually thinking it's not going to rain and it would have played in my favor. Because when I saw Dicky put in intermediates before the rain, so he gambled and he pulled it off. But yes, definitely there was 1 or 2 lobbies that it didn't rain at the end, although it was a random block. And some of the lobbies it did rain. So I was basically prepared for both. Filled up on my pit stops to be able to have enough fuel to finish the race. And if it did not rain, then I can finish on the mediums. And if it rain, I can just jump in and put on wets or intermediates without fueling up, save some time there, and then finish the race. But yeah, then at the end it rained. And great gamble there for Dicky, well done. And for Levitius out front.
Yeah, to be honest, Richard, we kind of thought that Dicky went into the pits to change onto them intermediates a bit early. I really thought he dropped a clanger there, but in the end it did pay off for him, because I thought, honestly, Richard, I thought you was going to catch him, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, I thought I was also thinking I still have a chance to catch him up because I didn't see any rain on the radar, and I zoomed out completely. And when I saw Dicky went on the intermediates, I said, okay, here's my chance. So pray for no rain. But it rained, and yeah, he pulled it off. So congratulations to him. I think it was very difficult doing the lap times he did in the dry just before it rained. So hats off for him. Well done.
Yeah, fair play to him, but fair play to you as well, Richard. Great comeback. Hugh, have you got any questions for Richard?
Well done, Richard. That was a fantastic drive to come from 10th place to get on the podium. That's brilliant. Tonight, what was the biggest challenge you faced with the weather changing, and especially with that kind of last-minute downpour? But it was very close all the way through. But you made up lots of positions. What was your secret of getting past all of your competitors to get onto the podium tonight?
Yeah, with the dry line forming after the rain, I know that the guys will definitely make mistakes. So I did get back, did not push too hard, and it's very difficult to overtake on a dry line if you are sitting mediums and soft to go onto the wet line to overtake. So, like I said, I actually just sit in traffic when I had a clear opportunity to overtake somebody on the big straight. I did that. Otherwise, I fuel mapped and fuel safe behind the guys in the corners, focusing to stay on the dry line and not crash out. And yeah, it paid off.
Well, many congratulations. A well-deserved third place. And I'm sure you're looking forward to the rest of the season. And I'm sure we'll see even closer finishes from next week onwards. But well done, Richard. A great third place for you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I second that as well. Congratulations to you, Richard, and look forward to seeing you in the second half of the season. Of course, you're in the Honda NSX, aren't you? So.
No, my teammates are all in the Honda NSX. So yeah, I'm in a GTR. I'm the only one in our team that actually opted for the Nissan.
Okay.
So like I said last week, I will see how I compare against the fast oaks out there, Levitius and Diki and Chas. Let's see what the Nissan can do. I think overall race pace, Nissan might have a slight advantage. But I think in quali lap times and stuff like that, Nissan's not going to be too far back.
Well, I'm sure you will perform to the very highest level, Richard. I've been actually very impressed with you, Richard. I was doing some of the daily race time trials, and I see your name up in the top 100 times there. So I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, thank you. I did push. We got a separate competition running called Quali Kings, and they pick a track every week, and we see what's the best time we can put on the board.
Yeah, well, no, you've definitely shown that pedigree for sure, and I really look forward to seeing you in the second half of the season and seeing how you get on with that GTR. But congratulations today on that third position, and hopefully we'll speak to you in the commentary booth next week or beyond.
Yeah, hopefully. No, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, so moving on to our second placed finisher. It's definitely becoming a bit of a habit. Deacon finished in second position. How are you feeling after that, Deacon?
I'm feeling quite good. Quite calm, quite relaxed. Well, it wasn't much of a stressful race. So now feeling good.
Well, I got to say, DK, from what I saw, I thought your strategy was a little bit controversial. I thought maybe you'd dropped a bit of a boo-boo, really, because it seemed like you got onto the intermediates super early. Obviously, you knew what you was doing, but did you kind of fear that the rain wasn't going to come? Or, I mean, what was your thinking towards that strategy?
Well, in practice, there was majority of the time there was rain at the end of the race. So yeah, that was what I was hoping for. I wasn't expecting it to be that late. I was hoping for it to be a bit earlier. But yeah, I was behind the BTS, and I saw the gap to third place. I think it was around 16, 17 seconds or whatever it was. So I was, I just thought, let me just try something different. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, then it doesn't work. But no, I didn't go as bad as I expected it to be. So yeah, I'm still happy with the second place.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great performance today. I just, I feared for your life there, because I honestly thought, oh no, maybe you've got onto the intermediates a little bit too early, and Richard was pretty close to you as well. In the end, I would say it was the right decision, but certainly. Yeah, you had us worried, that's for sure, DK. But congratulations on the second position. And Hugh, have you got any questions for DK?
Yeah, in terms of going on that intermediate strategy, because none of us were sure when the rain was going to come. But what was it like driving in the dry on those intermediates? It must have been quite challenging.
Yeah, no. Again, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I thought I would have had less grip than what I had. But I think for one of the laps, I actually somewhat kept up with Richard when he overtook me. So yeah, no, it wasn't as bad as what I thought it was. So and then yeah, Richard helped me with a little bit of slipstream at the end, which probably got me the P2. So yeah, no, happy with that.
Well done, and a well-deserved second place. And it's great to see you on the podium and pushing Levitius all the way for the closest race. And it's great to see the competitiveness of you both there. So well done for a great second place tonight. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. And we'll see how you get on. But many congratulations.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, and big congratulations, and obviously good luck for the second half of the season, DK. What are your thoughts as well, actually, with the 2016 spec of the GTR? Are you confident in that car at all?
Yeah, for sure. Comparing it to this car, or maybe this car and track combination, I wasn't too confident coming into this race, but yeah, and I think I'm definitely more comfortable in the GTR because I've driven it a few times before. So yeah, no, I should feel more comfortable in it, and yeah, hopefully I can get a good result.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you too. We will definitely have our fingers and our toes crossed for you, DK. We need you to take the fight to Levitius, which I'm sure you will. But obviously, congratulations on today, and good luck for the rest of the championship as well.
For sure. Thanks. Cheers.
Thank you, DK. And then on to our race winner, Levitius, grabbed his fourth victory of the season. Levitius, how are you feeling after that? Bit of a manic race, would you say?
Well, to be honest with you, everything was going to plan. From the first lap to lap for the first stint on the softs, everything was going to plan. I was working with DK really well. We were just doing the switcheroo every lap on the straight. He goes, I go, he goes, I go. It's a shame that Chaz wasn't there. We saw what happened now on the first lap on the softs. He was coming out of the last corner, hits the wall, and his race was basically over from there. So, but yeah, everything went perfectly. Nothing really went haywire. Just try to manage the whole race really, and then wait for the weather at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like why us in comms, we kind of hate it when it rains, because we don't fully know what's going on in terms of the weather, and it certainly changed very quickly as well. Like, I was in absolute pure shock because it was blue skies, and then literally within like a lap, maybe even less, it went from sort of light to dark, and then obviously the rain came. But we was obviously, speaking about Deaky, where it seemed like he came into the, he got into the intermediates very, very early. I mean, did that surprise you at all?
To be honest with you, my reaction when I saw him on Inters, I thought he made a mistake. I genuinely thought he must have just rushed his tire choice, but no, obviously in hindsight, he explained what happened. He did it on purpose, which was I didn't expect that at all. I honestly was speaking during the race. I was like, he's not going to finish even in the top 5 now, because I thought the Inters was going to fall off. But fortunately, this track is quite smooth and not that really abrasive on the tires, so he could actually nurse those Inters until it rained and bring home that P2, which was very surprising. It was very, very ballsy, because it also didn't rain for one of my practice sessions at the end. So I was just waiting. I was not going to just put hoping it would rain. I needed to see rain, and I saw that at the end of lap 24. I was like, nope, going in, and we went straight into the pits. Yeah.
So, obviously, you had the benefit of the radar. So, was the rain literally? Was it did it come in very quickly, and was it kind of so obviously we know when it's heavy rain it's like a dark blue color, and then it goes to green. So was it literally like a thin line of blue and then green? I mean, because I was, like I said, I was super shocked at how quickly the rain came in.
It was straight to torrential rain. It was literally a little short band of dark blue and then straight to green rain. It was quite the shift in grip because we were almost going like flat out through a lot of the corners, and now we're having to downshift and brake a little bit. So yeah, it was very sudden, and I was actually contemplating doing another lap because I was quite far ahead, and if I actually did stay out, it would have been close. It would probably been like if between 10 seconds if I was going to be able to go into the pits or not, but I was not going to taking the risk when I had such a massive gap. And I just rather just took a safe bet and put on the wets for the last 2 laps, and yeah, the rest was just quite straightforward. Yeah.
Fair play to you. I mean, it shows what I know. I don't know about Hugh, but definitely with me, I thought, I don't know if Levitis has made the right call here because obviously when you pitted, obviously you had no fuel and pretty burnt out softs, and I didn't see the rain coming, but in the end, Levitis, it was a faultless strategy and a pretty comfortable win, I think, in the end. So congratulations to you. And Hugh, have you got any questions for Levitis at all?
Yeah, just many congratulations because it was quite close between you and Deacon all the way through until Deacon came in for the intermediates. But well done for keeping those softs on and making the most of the dry weather because it really did come in at literally the last, the penultimate lap when it went to when you came in for the full wets because you really managed to do an excellent strategy. At the start, my one question was, you were at one point you were in first and then you went down to fourth. What exactly, did you have to feel that you're going to have to change anything? Because all of a sudden you were, from being in the lead to then being in the thick of it, with all these cars all around you, you managed to stay out and pick them off one by one. What was your feelings at that point when you were down in fourth place?
To be honest with you, I was expecting to drop at least to third on the first, or actually the second lap on the straight because my teammates and I are very close together in terms of pace. And I knew instantly I was going to be a sitting duck on the straight. Having GTR there was kind of, I made sure I tried to box him in between Deaky and Chaz. It's quite hilarious, to be honest. I saw it just a few moments ago. And it wasn't ideal, but the thing is, it's a very long race and I was very strong on the wet. So I was fine, okay, you can go ahead. And I was actually planning to box on lap 2 for the soft tires, but I was just a little nervous because the conditions in qualifying were slightly wetter than they were in practice, so the track was drying a little slower. So I decided to go with the safer strategy and do another lap on the inters. And turns out I paid off for DK and myself because unfortunately Chaz crashed. And also a little shout out to Chaz. He was the fastest of our whole team for this combo, but unfortunately he had that accident and he couldn't really show his full potential. But yeah, that was my mindset.
Yeah. Well done on a fantastic victory. Again, great strategy. You're really showing everybody how to do it. But as we go from halfway through the championship now, it will be great to see you compete and see how things go on from here. But many congratulations on a brilliant victory tonight. It's been a really impressive race to watch.
Thank you.
And just a final question from me, Lev. So obviously now you've got quite a saleable lead at the top of the championship. Are you confident going into the second half of the championship now that we're changing the spec of the cars?
To be honest with you, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 races that we're not going to be strong at all because the GTR doesn't have a lot of top speed. It is the lightest out of the NSX and the GTR and has more power, but in the qualifying it's going to be rapid. But in the race, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. It uses a lot more fuel from what I've seen. And it's going to be interesting. I could be a bit more of a Max Verstappen damage limitation for DK and myself from 2024. Just have to just basically get the results because some tracks are going to be really bad for the GTR, but other tracks will be pretty good. So it's going to be a huge mixed bag. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. So... quietly confident, but slightly reserved at the same time.
Yes.
Fair play. Well, Levitis, it was a great showing from you. Like I say, it's 4 race victories for you, 3 back-to-back as well. So you're definitely on a bit of a charge right now. So keep up the great work and look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lev. Take care. Okay, so I'm awaiting to see whether or not we've got a certain special guest that may be joining us. We are supposed to be interviewing the owner of Simulator Cave, but we're just trying to get hold of him at present. So I'm hoping he'll be available to chat with us because it'll be good to get the insights of our main sponsor. And I've got to say a huge shout out as well to Gert and the Simulator Cave as well, because they provide such an excellent service, and which is hard to find in South Africa as well. So it'd be good to get his thoughts. I wonder if he's in the YouTube chat or not, that we can get him in the commentary booth. So where I'm trying to get the chat open now. But yeah, I really appreciate all of everyone that's been tuning in, and hopefully you enjoyed that race. Make sure you have hit that like button, and if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, then we would really appreciate it, as we are chasing down 150 subscribers. But yeah, I'm hoping to get Gert in, because I'm sure many of you have got questions to ask, and whether or not you can get these cheap deals and on various wheels and cockpits. But yeah, at the moment I don't see Gert in the chat, so I'm just wondering what to do at present. Maybe Hugh, we will have a look at what's coming up in the next round.
Yes, yep, that'd be good.
Okay, so let's hold on, let me change something over. Just bear with me. Where is it? What have I done with it? Oh no. Oh, there it is. Right. Okay, so coming up in the next round then, we are at Suzuka then, in the 2016 Group 2 cars, which is another one of them circuits. Maybe it's something in the water in Japan, but it can be very unpredictable weather, Hugh. But what are your thoughts on this circuit?
Well, Suzuka is just a wonderful classic racetrack, isn't it? I mean, it goes downhill that you don't always see when you watch it on television. You don't realise just how steep it is, and it goes into the double right-hander. Of course, it's got an incredible history of incidents, whether it be between Prost and Senna or many others. It's always a fantastic venue to host a race, and I'm quite sure here in the Group 2s, because they've got so much grip and so much downforce, they'll really be able to go flat out as much as possible, going through these incredible curves, and really it will be another great race to commentate on, and I think it will throw up lots of new challenges for the drivers. It'll be interesting to see if Lavitius can keep up his competitiveness. He did say there'll be a few tracks where they might struggle, but yeah, it's going to be a great race to watch. And I think now that all the positions are locked, it's now the gloves are off, because now they know that they're in that tier, so they can really fight for everything. So I think it's going to be very, very close, and definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so for those that didn't already know, although we have kind of spelt it out a few times now, but the drivers will now transfer over to the 2016 spec of the Group 2 cars, to whatever manufacturer they picked in the first half of the season. So it does definitely throw over different challenges for the drivers. Certain cars will become meta, like the Honda NSX. Do believe that is going to be strong at most of the circuits in this second half of the season. The GTR, perhaps I'd say the more balanced car, perhaps, and I'm not 100% sure of the Lexus, actually. I know some people can be good in the Lexus, but I know, like, through the sort of the daily races, I think the Lexus isn't really a car that's picked too much, so it'll be interesting to see how competitive the Lexus is in the second half of the season. But as Hugh mentioned, the tiers are locked down, so hopefully hopefully they're sort of the tiers that you want it to be. Hopefully it'll be exciting regardless of what tier you're in. And top 3 drivers, I do believe, will get a prize as well. So something to fight out for the remaining part of the season. But yeah, definitely go and check us out next week, of course, then for race 7 of the GT500 Championship on this very channel on Monday the 24th of March at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Africa time, and we'll definitely see how this one plays out. And speaking of things, do check out our socials as well. As always, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Discord. We've got a great community on Discord, so definitely go and check it out. May have to get some links on the WhatsApp as well if there's anyone that hasn't already joined. But yeah, definitely go and hit that like button and subscribe button if you haven't already done so on our YouTube channel. It'll be much appreciated. And then also a quick mention as well for the upcoming MSA Championship starting in May. So if you haven't already signed up for that, hopefully there'll be details for you to sign up for your pro licenses, which you'll be able to compete in many regional and international championships. And it's all sponsored by the FIA, of course, with MSA or Motorsport South Africa, where you could be battling for them Springboks green jackets and the getting that full recognition representing your country as well. So hopefully if you're not on the fence, then there will be ways to get signed up. I need to speak to Robin whether or not that is actually opened up and whether or not you can actually sign up now, but of course for those that are interested, it'll be good to see you in the MSA Cup Championship come May. And also as well, we've got a Quali Kings Championship, and this was kind of what I was referring to, Hugh, with VSR Richard. There was quite a number of drivers that I saw in the top 100 and top 200 globally. I was thinking that I was a fast driver, and then I see them all above me, so I got put in my place there. But the Quali Kings Championship is on every week. It's normally trying to get the fastest lap time of a time trial of whatever the daily race happens to be. So this week, last week happened to be Bathurst in the Group 4 cars, but it'll be nice to see you on the leaderboards and also in this Quali Kings Championship with all the links in there in our Discord. So get yourselves involved and try to compete with the very best drivers and see where you rank amongst all of the South Africa drivers on a week-to-week basis. And obviously then I can compare my lap times to you guys and see how shocking of a driver I really am. What are your thoughts though, Hugh?
It's great. I love time trial. So yeah, doing the qualifying is great fun, and it's great to see all the drivers doing so well and getting into the top 200 for the qualifying and for the time trials. It's such a good thing. You can get so focused into the time trial, and depending on the car and track, it really is a challenge. And as you say, you look on the board to see where your friends are, and you realise, I've got a bit of scrolling to do before I can see myself on there, But these guys are very, very strong, and it's good practice for them because that helps them for their qualifying as well for this title too, to be able to get on with the championship. But no, I love the time trial. I think it's a great idea, and doing this between the drivers in the championship, I'm sure will continue to spur them on and help them get quicker.
Indeed. I definitely look forward to seeing how they get on. And I got to throw out a big apology to everyone that's stopped in the channel, but it seems like we're not able to get Gert through to the commentary booth then. Apparently he's having a few technical issues and not able to join, which is a a bit of a shame, to be honest, Hugh, because I had so many questions for him. I'm sure a lot of the viewers had questions related to, the sim racing equipment they sell, including like the racing cockpits and things like that. So hopefully we'll be able to get Gert back in for next week instead. But huge apologies. I know I've been keeping you guys waiting, and I'm sure you've been overloaded with questions. So, but yeah, big shame there, Hugh. I wanted to ask him a few personal questions to do with, I'd say particularly Moser equipment, because I'm definitely in the market for some new racing wheels, so it would have been nice to see his thoughts on what is deemed as high-end equipment. So unfortunate.
Hopefully we'll get him on again next week, or we'll get him on. We'll get that sorted. I'm sure it's just a wee thing, and we can get the technical difficulties sorted out, and we'll get him on maybe next week to find out exactly what he does and what he can offer the drivers here watching, and also all the viewers who have been supporting us tonight with lots of kind of team building efforts supporting their drivers. It's always good fun to see what people are saying, but we'll certainly get the Simulator Cave in. I think it's a great name, and I'm sure a great service. So we'll hopefully find out more about that next week.
Indeed, Hugh. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the race then, Hugh? Cracking race as always. I mean, I don't think SMA ever disappoints on a round-to-round basis, but do you have a particular driver that really impressed you? Maybe your driver of the day?
Oh, that's a tough one, because there's two drivers that did so well. There was VSR Richard, who started 10th and got onto the podium into 3rd. And then there was also Wolfie, who also started at the back, but he got into 4th. So really between those two, I think they're my drivers of the day, because they were fantastic drives through the field on very, very challenging conditions. I mean, look how close it was with all that spray, and they were right behind each other. We had at one point 4 wide going down the straights, and there's only one line for the corner, but they really managed it very well without really any major incidents at all. So it's been a great race to watch, and again showing the skill, the prowess of the drivers, and they're giving us great entertainment. And we're only halfway through. We've got another 6 races to go. So yeah, very excited. And it's a pleasure to watch these drivers, because they've put in a huge effort into they've got great speed, great strategy. We can all learn actually from watching the championship. It's a really, really good group of drivers, and all credit to them. They have put in great performances, and it's a pleasure to watch.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I don't think I could call who the driver of the day is. If there's anyone in chat though who's got some suggestions on who you felt was the driver of the day, obviously we know with Levitius, again, it's just an absolute faultless race from him. But obviously we know about VSR Richard. Obviously made a massive comeback to grab his second podium in as many weeks, but yeah, very difficult one to call really. Been nice to hear your thoughts, and again I've got to give a huge apology as well, whether it's our side or Gert's side, I'm not 100% sure, but for whatever reason we're not able to get hold of him tonight. He's not able to join our Discord chat, so again, huge apology, but I have been told that he will be back with us next week. So if you've got any questions for him, then he will be available after round 7 from next week. So do tune in for that, because it's definitely going to be interesting indeed. But yeah, Hugh, any upcoming content for your channel? I would love to sort of plug you, Hugh, because Hugh's an awesome podcaster, and does interview a lot of the top YouTubers out there. But what are you doing in the coming week or so?
Yes. I've got a very exciting. I launched a video last week, which has done really well, which I'm really pleased about. But it's an open competition. So, do you know your GT7 cars by their engine sounds? If so, then go onto the channel and enter the competition and see if you can recognise the 5 cars that we've got there. So I've got 5 different engine sounds, and it's a good range of cars. There are some clues as well if you watch right the way through the video to help you. But yes, there's potentially a Steam voucher up for grabs if you want to enter that. It's all a bit of fun, but that's on my channel this week, and I'll be bringing out the video with the answers next week. But lots of people have taken part, so it would be great to have even more have a go. So that's on my channel just now. So yes, it's been lots of fun looking at people's answers, and many have got them right. So we will see. We put them all into a bag, and then we'll be choosing a winner. But yeah, that's what I've been doing this week.
Awesome stuff. Well, definitely go check out Hugh Hatrick. He's on YouTube, so he does make it easy for you. So definitely go check him out. Hit that subscribe button for him. Get yourselves involved in his amazing community as well. Well, I mean, Hugh, as always, it's always been a pleasure to commentate alongside you. Phenomenal as per usual. I don't know what I'll do without you. Yeah, definitely go check out Hugh Hatrick and maybe get to learn a few things about him that you probably wouldn't get to hear about during this broadcast. But also, big thank you to everyone that's tuned in today. Kennels just said that he reckons it is VSR Richard for sure for the driver of the day. And thank you, Double DP, for the compliments as well. It really does mean so much to us. We want to do everyone in South Africa proud. So, yeah, thank you very much for the huge compliments there. But thank you to everyone that's tuned in, and yeah, we'll definitely see you for next week for round 7 at Suzuka in the first of the 2016 spec car manufacturers races. So definitely tune in next week, Monday the 24th of March at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Africa time. And yeah, thank you so much for your company again, Hugh, and look forward to speaking to you next week.
You're very welcome. As they say, drive fast and try not to crash, and we'll see you next week.
Indeed. That is a great saying, that is, I have to say. I'll have to steal that from you.
Yeah, I stole that from Michael Schumacher. So
fair enough. Right. I mean, like, stole it from possibly the greatest ever driver, so, that's fair play.
They asked him at the start of the season, what's your kind of aim? And he just went, drive fast, don't crash. And that was it. So I got it from there.
Simple but true, so no, okay, I'll give him credit there. But yeah, good night. So yeah, we'll be back next week, so it's definitely a good night from Hugh.
Good night, everyone. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you next week.
And it's a good night from me. Stay safe, thank you for watching, and goodbye.